In this episode, we head to Spearfish, South Dakota in early June 2019. What seems like a peaceful, picturesque town is suddenly thrust into the spotlight after a shocking murder reveals hidden secrets, fractured relationships, and painful betrayals. Hunter Walsh, an 18-year-old freshman from Spearfish, South Dakota, was a young man full of promise. With his charming smile and sharp wit, Hunter had just graduated from Spearfish High School and was about to start studying photojournalism at the University of Chicago. His love for photography was evident to all, as his Instagram was filled with stunning shots of South Dakota's landscapes and genuine portraits of his friends. Hunter dreamed of leaving his quiet hometown and carving out a place for himself in Chicago's dynamic arts scene. But beneath his friendly and confident surface, there was another side to Hunter's life that few were aware of. Over the past year, he had secretly engaged in relationships with several influential men in Spearfish. With his youthful appearance and magnetic personality, Hunter became appealing to those who were hesitant to express their true selves. His relationships weren't just about intimacy. He also saw them as a way to gain financial support. Hunter cleverly hinted at the risk of his secret being revealed, persuading his lovers to give him money in exchange for his discretion. He called these payments gifts, which he used to fund his camera gear and save for college. Among his most significant relationships was with Sheriff Dale Connors, a highly respected figure in Spearfish. Sheriff Connors, 48, was a man struggling with his concealed sexuality. Burdened by years of societal pressures and his position in law enforcement, his affair with Hunter grew more complicated as the sheriff began demanding exclusivity, something Hunter wasn't willing to offer. Tensions came to a head on June 3, 2019, when Nicole Meyers, Hunter's best friend and Sheriff Connors' girlfriend, unexpectedly walked in on them while they were together. Nicole, a 21-year-old college student studying environmental science, had been in a relationship with Sheriff Connors for 2 years, oblivious to his secret gay affairs. The discovery of his betrayal shattered her. That evening, Nicole confronted the sheriff at a local diner, and their argument quickly escalated into a public confrontation. Hunter confided in a friend that he was worried Sheriff Connors might seek revenge, though he didn't go into details. He also expressed frustration with Nicole, feeling that their once strong friendship was likely beyond repair. Despite his concerns, Hunter kept posting photos and videos on Instagram, trying to appear unaffected and maintain some sense of normality. Just days after the confrontation at the diner, Hunter Walsh's life would end tragically. On the morning of June 6, 2019, a group of hikers made a disturbing discovery in the Black Hills National Forest just outside Spearfish, South Dakota. Around 9 a.m., 55-year-old James Caldwell, a retired schoolteacher and avid birdwatcher, noticed a foul odor while walking near an old abandoned cabin he frequently used as a resting spot. Driven by curiosity, James approached the cabin and was horrified to discover the lifeless body of a young man just outside the doorway. The victim, later identified as 18-year-old Hunter Walsh, was partially concealed by debris near the cabin's entrance. His body bore obvious signs of a violent attack, with severe injuries to his head and upper body. A bloodied wooden baseball bat was found nearby, along with a shattered camera a few feet from Hunter's body. The scene suggested a violent struggle had taken place. Trembling, James quickly dialed 911, his voice unsteady as he relayed the horrifying discovery. "There's a young man. He's not moving. There's blood everywhere," he told the dispatcher, his voice trembling with shock and fear. Despite his years of hiking and occasional encounters with injured wildlife, James later admitted he had never witnessed anything so horrifying. Within 20 minutes, law enforcement officers from the Spearfish Police Department and the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office arrived at the scene. The remote location and rugged terrain made access difficult, but the officers swiftly secured the area. By the time police arrived, a small crowd of shocked hikers had gathered, at a safe distance, quietly discussing what had happened. Hunter's belongings, including a torn backpack and scattered photography gear, were scattered around the area. Investigators also discovered footprints leading to and from the cabin, hinting that the attacker might have fled on foot. The sight of Hunter's broken Canon EOS 80D camera, once one of his most cherished possessions, seemed to symbolize the abrupt and violent end to his promising future. Forensic teams quickly began processing the crime scene, photographing the area, and collecting blood, hair, and fiber samples. Meanwhile, Hunter's body was taken to the local coroner's office for an autopsy. The brutality of the crime, combined with the remote location, sent shockwaves through the quiet town of Spearfish, where violent crimes were rare and typically rooted in personal conflicts. Spearfish police and investigators from the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office arrived at the scene within half an hour of James Caldwell's Yellow 11 call. Officers swiftly cordoned off the area around the old cabin with yellow police tape and began carefully sifting through the grim scene. The blood-spattered wooden baseball bat was carefully bagged as evidence, while the shattered camera, its memory card still intact, became a crucial piece of the investigation. The crime scene itself painted a chilling picture of violence and struggle. The struggle inside the cabin had spilled out into the area surrounding it, where Hunter Walsh's body was left in the dirt. Detective Maria Lawson, a seasoned 10-year veteran of the Spearfish Police Department, took charge of the investigation. Known for her meticulous attention to detail, Lawson focused on uncovering the events that led to such a brutal attack on the young college student with so much potential. Forensic experts gathered hair and fiber samples, took casts of boot prints near the scene, and carefully documented blood spatters. Within hours, Detective Lawson shifted her focus to Hunter's personal life, hoping to uncover any leads about who might have wanted him dead. What she uncovered quickly shattered the image of Hunter's seemingly perfect life, revealing a side of him that few knew. As officers delved into Hunter's digital footprint, they uncovered sexually explicit text messages and emails that revealed a series of secret gay relationships with well-known local figures. These messages also suggested that Hunter had been extorting these men, threatening to expose their affairs unless they paid him money. One of the most incriminating discoveries came from his phone. Among the messages were texts exchanged with Sheriff Dale Connors, a respected law enforcement official in the town. The texts detailed their sexual relationship, which had recently begun to unravel. Tensions had grown as Connors demanded more secrecy, while Hunter subtly threatened to expose their affair if the sheriff didn't meet his demands for discretion. As police interviewed residents, another troubling event surfaced. 2 days before Hunter's body was discovered, a confrontation had taken place at Rudy's Diner, a popular local spot. Witnesses recalled seeing Sheriff Connors, visibly furious, grab Hunter by the collar and shove him into a booth. This revelation cast a dark cloud over Connors's reputation and added a new layer of complexity to the case. Was the sheriff's anger enough to drive him to murder, or was there someone else with an even darker motive? At 48, Sheriff Dale Connors was a respected figure in Spearfish, South Dakota. Known for his calm demeanor and commitment to the community, he had earned a reputation as a reliable and trusted leader in law enforcement. However, police soon uncovered a hidden side to Connor's life. He had been involved in a secret relationship with Hunter Walsh, one that had become more strained over time as emotions, secrets, and jealousy began to take their toll. Investigators discovered that the relationship began innocently enough. Hunter and Dale first met at a local charity event in late 2018, and their connection quickly became sexual. For Dale, the affair offered an opportunity to explore a side of himself he had long kept hidden. For Hunter, it was just another secret affair, one of many, that also provided financial gain. As time passed, Dale became deeply infatuated, wanting exclusivity in the relationship. However, Hunter, who valued his independence and was always looking for opportunities, had no interest in being tied down, especially when he was involved with other influential men in town. Tensions between Hunter and Dale grew when Nicole Meyers, Dale's 21-year-old girlfriend, discovered the affair. Nicole, an energy college student studying environmental science, had been with Dale for 2 years. However, Dale later confessed to investigators that Nicole was little more than a cover to help silence rumors about his sexuality. The arrangement worked for a time, but Nicole had no idea she was being used to conceal Dale's secret. In early June 2019, Nicole caught Dale and Hunter in a sexual encounter at Dale's home. The confrontation that followed was intense and explosive. Nicole was furious, calling Dale a coward for hiding his sexuality and accusing him of lying to her for years. She also directed her anger at Hunter, whom she had once considered her best friend. The fallout left Dale shaken, and he desperately begged Hunter to end his other relationships and commit to him exclusively. Hunter refused to comply. 2 days later, the situation escalated at Rudy's Diner, where Dale and Hunter were seen in a heated argument. Witnesses described Dale as visibly furious, grabbing Hunter by the collar and shouting at him. Despite his denials, Dale's motives, jealousy, betrayal, and fear of exposure, made him a key suspect in the case. Nicole Meyers, 21, was a passionate and independent college student studying environmental science at Black Hills State University. With her sharp wit and strong convictions, Nicole had always been someone who stood up for what she believed in. But when it came to love, Nicole wore her heart on her sleeve. For 2 years, she believed she had found the love of her life in Sheriff Dale Connors. Despite their 27-year age difference, she saw him as charming, steady, and protective. In many ways, Dale symbolized the stability Nicole had longed for after a turbulent childhood, but in early June 2019, her dream of a future with him was shattered. The discovery was both devastating and completely unexpected, turning her world upside down. Caught off guard, Dale tried to explain, but his excuses only made things worse. Nicole's fury then turned on Hunter, as she accused him of destroying her relationship with Dale and betraying her trust in the worst possible way. For Hunter, it was just another complicated chapter in a life filled with secret affairs. But for Nicole, the discovery was earth-shattering. As the shock began to fade, she started to piece together other moments in their relationship that now seemed to make sense, each revealing a deeper layer of deception. Dale's reluctance to be physically affectionate, his constant excuses to avoid public displays of affection, and his strange behavior around certain people all pointed to one painful truth: Nicole had been a beard, a cover for Dale's hidden sexuality. When Dale eventually admitted this, Nicole was devastated. She felt humiliated, used, and discarded, her entire relationship unraveling before her eyes. In the days following the revelation, Nicole's emotions spiraled. Heartbreak gave way to anger, and her fury was directed squarely at Hunter. Investigators later uncovered a series of intense text messages Nicole sent to Hunter during the week of his death, filled with accusations and raw emotion. In these messages, Nicole accused Hunter of betrayal and deceit, calling him a backstabbing gay and a man-loving destroyer of lives. One text read, "You'll regret ever bleeping with me, I promise you that." The intensity of her anger was clear, and it painted a picture of just how deeply she had been hurt. When questioned by police, Nicole initially denied any involvement in Hunter's death. Her demeanor was defensive yet composed. She acknowledged sending the texts, explaining that they were written in a moment of intense anger and heartbreak, not intended to be taken literally. "I just wanted to hurt him the way he hurt me," she told investigators, her voice trembling. She insisted that her anger was purely emotional and not physical. However, Nicola's texts painted a troubling picture, suggesting a deep and volatile rage that raised questions about her role in the events leading to Hunter's death. With her understanding of Dale and Hunter's relationship, along with her deep sense of betrayal, the police couldn't completely dismiss her as a potential suspect. The hopeful dreams she once had about environmental activism and love were now clouded by intense anger and heartbreak, putting her at the heart of a disturbing investigation. Then, in July 2019, the inquiry into Hunter Walsh's murder took an unexpected twist. At first, detectives zeroed in on Nicole Meyers and Sheriff Dale Connors as the primary suspects. However, fresh evidence surfaced, taking both the public and law enforcement by surprise. This discovery exposed a tangled web of betrayal, deceit, and desperation, dramatically changing the course of the investigation. The breakthrough came when forensic experts examined Hunter's phone and laptop, which had been confiscated at the start of the case. At first, the investigation uncovered troubling text messages from Nicole and his sexual ties to Sheriff Connors. However, a more thorough examination of Hunter's encrypted files revealed a much more complex story. Investigators found a concealed folder named Backup, which held videos, photos, and emails detailing Hunter's secret relationships with several well-known figures in Spearfish. Among those were powerful business leaders, including real estate mogul J.V. Haskins, a local pastor, and even a city councilman. The most shocking discovery, however, was a video recorded just days before Hunter's death. In it, Hunter was seen in a heated argument with Sheriff Connors. Connors, clearly furious, yelled, "This ends now, Hunter. You don't know what you're getting into," Connors said, his frustration evident. The video also showed Connors revealing the pressure of his double life, admitting, "You have no idea what it's like to live in fear every single day." While this footage strengthened suspicions against Connors, it was another piece of digital evidence that introduced an unexpected twist. Detectives discovered a draft email on Hunter's laptop, intended for a reporter at BuzzFeed News. In it, Hunter warned he was ready to expose Connors and his other secret relationships, asserting that he had enough compromising information to bring South Dakota to its knees. However, the email was never sent. When asked about the confrontation shown in the video, Connors acknowledged having a heated argument with Hunter, but denied any role in his death. Nicole, on the other hand, admitted to being angry, but insisted her anger never became physical. The real twist came when further investigation uncovered an anonymous burner phone number that had been in contact with Hunter just before his death. The burner phone was traced to someone neither Nicole nor Dale had mentioned, J.B. Haskins, a local figure connected to one of Hunter's extortion schemes. This discovery introduced a new suspect and cast doubt on whether Hunter's murder was driven by passion or part of a calculated effort to silence him permanently. The new evidence expanded the investigation dramatically, leaving the residents of Spearfish in shock as they speculated about who else might be entangled in the scandal surrounding Hunter's tragic death. In July 2019, as investigators continued to unravel the details of Hunter Walsh's life and death, a new suspect came to light. Local businessman J.J. Haskins, widely recognized in Spearfish as a wealthy philanthropist and the owner of a well-known car dealership, Haskins had long cultivated a pristine public image. However, police uncovered a hidden side to his life, one linked to a secretive gay relationship with Hunter Walsh. Detectives uncovered evidence that Haskins and Hunter had been involved in a discreet sexual relationship earlier that year. Their encounters were kept secret until Hunter began pressuring Haskins for money to keep quiet. Text messages between them revealed that Hunter had extorted a substantial $37,000 from Haskins over several months, threatening to reveal their affair if he didn't comply. In one message, Hunter threatened, "Pay up, you little fairy, or your perfect little world comes crashing down." Fearing public disgrace and family backlash, Haskins met Hunter's demands but grew more resentful over time. As the investigation into Haskins deepened, another startling revelation came to light: a secret, 2-decade-long relationship between Haskins and Sheriff Dale Connors. Phone records and emails revealed a romantic and physical relationship between Haskins and Connors that had been ongoing for over 20 years, starting in 1988. Despite this, both men had publicly portrayed themselves as straight. Haskins was married, and Connors was in a relationship with Nicole Meyers, who acted as his cover. For Haskins, Hunter was more than just an extortionist. Hunter was not only an extortionist to Haskins, he posed a direct threat to the secret Haskins and Connors had worked so hard to keep hidden. Witnesses placed Haskins near the woods where Hunter's body was discovered on the night of the murder. A jogger reported seeing a car matching the description of Haskins' silver Lexus parked by a secluded trail entrance around 9:30 p.m. Additionally, surveillance footage from a nearby gas station showed a similar vehicle heading toward the area about an hour before Hunter was last seen alive. When questioned, Haskins acknowledged being in the area, but insisted he was just taking a late-night drive to clear his mind. He denied any interaction with Hunter that night, though investigators were doubtful of his explanation. The discovery of Haskins' connections to both Hunter and Connors only deepened the intrigue, adding yet another layer of complexity to an already convoluted case. One strike after another landed on Hunter as he pleaded for mercy. Her anger consumed her, and when it was over, Hunter lay motionless on the cabin floor. In a panic, Nicole quickly concocted a plan to divert suspicion away from herself and onto Dale. Nicole knew that revealing Dale's secret gay relationships would ruin his career and reputation, regardless of whether he was convicted of murder. To frame him, she staged the scene planting items from Dale's truck, a monogrammed glove and cigarette butts he often smoked, around the cabin. She then wiped her fingerprints from the bat and fled, leaving behind a gruesome scene designed to implicate her former lover. In the days following the murder, Nicola was torn between guilt and defiance. She convinced herself that her actions were a form of revenge for Hunter's betrayals and Dale's deceit. However, as the investigation focused more closely on her, the pressure mounted and the walls began to close in. Police discovered angry text messages Nicole had sent to Hunter, including one that read, "You deserve everything coming your way." Security footage also placed her car near the cabin on the night of the murder. With the mounting pressure, Nicole's alibi began to fall apart. Forensic evidence disproved Nicole's alibi, and investigators quickly connected the dots between her motive and the opportunity. On July 20, 2019, officers arrested Nicola at her parents' home. The arrest marked a bitter turning point. As she was handcuffed, Nicole sobbed, confessing, "I didn't mean for it to go that far." Yet, deep down, she felt a perverse sense of vindication for taking control of her pain, even as it shattered her life. Nicole Meyers' trial began in February 2020. Only months after her arrest for the brutal murder of Hunter Walsh. As the courtroom filled with spectators, including townspeople who had known both Nicole and Hunter, the tension was palpable. The prosecution, led by District Attorney Brianna Williams, argued that Nicole's actions were premeditated, fueled by jealousy, rage, and betrayal. They portrayed her as a woman scorned, who, in a moment of fury, killed Hunter to punish him for revealing the secrets of her relationship with Sheriff Dale Connors. Nicole's defense attorney, Mark Stapler, countered by claiming his client was temporarily insane at the time of the murder. He argued that Nicole's emotional state had been shattered by discovering her boyfriend's infidelity and Hunter's extortion. Stapler suggested that the immense pressure of uncovering the shocking truth about Dale's hidden life drove Nicole to lose control, leaving her unable to distinguish right from wrong in the heat of the moment. She wasn't herself, Stapler told the jury. She was temporarily insane, and her actions were a tragic consequence of that mental break. The prosecution, however, argued that the calculated manner in which Nicole staged the scene to frame Dale showed she had full control over her actions. The prosecution also presented forensic evidence revealing that Hunter had been struck multiple times, indicating that Nicole had acted with deliberate intent. Text messages from Nicole to Hunter, found on his phone, highlighted the deep resentment she felt toward him and her awareness of his extortion schemes. After weeks of deliberation, the jury returned a verdict of guilty on charges of second-degree murder. The defense's argument of temporary insanity wasn't sufficient to persuade the jury to reduce Nicole's accountability. While some felt a sense of relief with the verdict, others in the tight-knit community of Pine Valley believed justice remained incomplete. Many still sympathized with Nicole, feeling that her emotional breakdown was understandable given the profound betrayal she had experienced. At her sentencing hearing, the judge handed down a sentence of 25 years in prison without the possibility of parole. Nicole's attorneys, Mark Stapler and co-counsel Rachel Turner, had hoped for a lesser sentence, but the judge remained firm in her decision, stating that the brutality of the crime and Nicole's manipulation of the evidence made it clear she was fully responsible for her actions. As Nicole was escorted away in handcuffs, she whispered to her attorney, "I never meant for it to go this far." The courtroom fell silent, the gravity of the tragedy weighing heavily on everyone present. The aftermath of Hunter Walsh's murder cast a long shadow over the small town. Nicole Meyers, now serving a 25-year sentence for her part in the killing, became a symbol of betrayal and heartbreak. Nicole's trial had captivated the town, and many were still grappling with the events that led to Hunter's death. After being sentenced in February 2020, her life was now confined to the cold walls of a state prison. Despite her attorney's efforts to argue that her emotional breakdown had driven her to commit the murder, the jury found her guilty, and the judge handed down a severe sentence. Sheriff Dale Connors, once a respected figure in the town, resigned from his position just days after Nicole's sentencing. The scandal surrounding his secret sexual relationship with Hunter and his involvement in the events leading up to the murder made it untenable for him to remain in law enforcement. His resignation came suddenly, leaving the town in shock.